Hello, everybody. Welcome back to the Real Estate Agent Advantage. My name is Lorne Cooper. I'm just north of Toronto, Canada, and we are joined again by Aleta Reynolds. Aleta, can you say hi to everybody? Tell
Hey,
everyone why we're here again today, because we had you on the show once before. This is the second time you're back, repeat offender. um, I,
thinking enough.
yeah, I thought it would be a great idea for people to get a really close, analytical view of how you dissect, how you track numbers. Because let's face it, whether people are there and they just want to improve their own business or they want to get into some sort of coaching with someone, it's always important to be able to know your numbers and really understand your data, whether that's improving, listing appointments and all that, which is not what we're talking about today, but really leads. And what is your conversion rate? What are your numbers? How do you improve? What do you need to focus on, right?
Yeah, absolutely. And I know this stemmed from our conversation the first time we met, where it's like, okay, well, what are the best lead sources? What's the best time of day to call? How do we know who to hire? Where should we be getting our data from? And it starts with your numbers. And most of us really don't have any clue. We think that Zillow is the one, or we think that ZBuyer, we think that our pay-per-click, or we think that our SOI is where we're getting the most deals. And once we start tracking it daily and putting that accountability piece in there, you would be shocked at what we find on who's the most responsive, what stage are they when we set the appointment, is it a kept appointment, is it a missed appointment, how many dials did it take for that person to answer the phone.
Right.
And once you know that data, not only can you pre-plan your day, like let's say you only have an hour to dial and you need to have an appointment, you can go to your most responsive data, and you'll learn in your area. Is it better to call in the morning, evening, weekend, sometimes the afternoon? I mean, Las Vegas, I've never had a higher answer rate than Las Vegas from 12 to 3, because everybody works nights, so everybody's answering the phone. So you really get to learn a lot about your area, and I geek out on it. I get really micro with it. So if you have a really low C, like most of us do in this business, you're going to be completely annoyed by all of the details and probably really overwhelmed. But all we have to do is remember, it's one input at a time. It's one dial session at a time. These spreadsheets that I'm going to share with you, these took months to compile. But after every dial session and every appointment set, we put the notes into the jot form and it computed to the spreadsheet. And then we really just have to look at it once a month.
There you go. And when you're hiring and you're expanding your business, because let's face it, if we're smart, we're thinking about this as a business, not as a career. So you really have to understand your numbers from that respect. And if you're going to hire out an ISA or an ISA team, you want to be able to track their numbers. You want to be able to see, are they getting the same results as you or better? And this is the best way to do it. I am not a high C. I mean, in some respects I am, but really, like, this stuff is just you'll see my brain oozing out of my ears like most of us, but I recognize the importance of it. So I'm doing my best to really get down and dirty and track everything. So I suggest everybody watching, take some notes, get in there. I'm going to hand it over to you now, Aleta. So you go ahead and share your screen. Let's dig into how you set this up and how you track numbers for your clients.
Okay, awesome. Well, thank you. And let me just go ahead. Before I share my screen, I just want to tell you, if you have an ISA or your agents, a virtual assistant, an OSA, you're a solo agent and you're fully responsible for dialing all of your leads, whoever is doing this has to be the one to put in the numbers. And that's why you're really going to hear me say you need to have a set person doing this, a set team doing this, because real estate agents, most of the time they're going to be showing houses, negotiating home inspections, at closings, at listing appointments, and they're not going to track their numbers as efficient as the person sitting down to do it for a block of time.
Absolutely. And I think that's the evolution of your career in real estate, from solo agent. You start to, get the vibe going because you don't necessarily have the bankroll to do it. You do it all yourself. You start to build up the business, the momentum, and then you can start delegating these tasks to that person and really getting your systems dialed in.
Yeah, absolutely. So this is an example of a real team. This is real team. These are their opt-in funnels. So they have a Chime CRM, and then they have Google pay-per-click. Here, I'll actually show you their lead sources because we track it by lead source as well. They have, Bing, and they have the Chime pay-per-click. They have the Google pay-per-click, which I believe is done by Brian Short. They have stuff generically from their website. They have some stuff following in from Zillow, but not very much. So it looks like the bulk of their stuff is coming from Google. And I'm just going to highlight this. Okay. And it's coming from other, could be organic traffic, sign calls, direct mail, those types of things. And this team does micro track it. And then from their website, so their organic traffic from their website. Okay. And then here we have the totals, and then we track by appointment, and then we track their nurtures as well. So just imagine if you could come to your spreadsheet and after this many months, because this is done monthly, you can see not only how many appointments, but then you can go up here and go, where did we get all these appointments? Oh my gosh, we got 40 appointments. And this month from Google pay-per-click, and we got 35 nurtures. Imagine how invaluable it is to know where to put your money.
Exactly.
I mean, what if he was spending an arm and a leg on ZBuyer, which I believe he literally just got ZBuyer. But what if all of his money was going to ZBuyer and we literally weren't getting anything?
Then that's so important, especially for people with shiny object syndrome. And we all have that a little bit, I think. And we think, ooh, I want to send postcards, or ooh, I want to try Facebook ads, or ooh, I want to try this or that. To be able to track and really understand where our business is coming from is so important. And then, and those people that have been in business for, 10 years, 15 years, 20 years, and have this huge database, and they decide, what, maybe I'll try putting, all this money, thousands and thousands of dollars towards, these leads, and they don't get any kind of return because they don't have the system for it. But if they would just put it back into their database where they're getting their actual business from, it would make more sense. So really understanding where to invest your money, I totally see the value in this.
Yeah. Well, and when we think about it, okay, so one of the conversations that was brought up in a mastermind that I did a couple of weeks ago was, what is the lifespan of a lead? When a lead comes into your funnel, how soon are they ready to buy? And across the board, everyone was pretty much saying 9 months to 18 months. And I know, because I have dialed, I would say with confidence, almost every lead source out there. There are lead sources that when they come in, they are ready. They are ready to go. They're not always nurtured.
Hook me up with those, okay?
Yeah, absolutely. Well, you'll see here, look at all these nurtures here. Well, we keep the nurtures on a spreadsheet. And if I go to, all right, so we have lead type, we have the ISA. Where's the lead source on here? Oh, I was going to sort it by lead source and geek out. All right, so that column's not on here. Let me go to the appointments. All right, so if I can go here and I can sort this by lead source. Okay, now this is by appointments. All right, all of these appointments here, I can see, them by lead source right here. I can also see the lead category when we set the appointment. So if I go here and I sort it by lead category, A to Z, all right, these were in the hot category, which means the first time that we talked to them, they weren't ready for an appointment, but they were very interested. So these hot leads, this is as soon as they came in, were from Google and Bing. And I'm pretty sure those are Brian Short. And I'm not paid to say that, but he does. I'm pretty sure he's in charge of all their pay-per-click and Bing. So these are leads that they came in through the funnel. And when we called them, they were one more call away from setting an appointment. Okay. Now look at these new. So these were brand new when we set the appointment. Google, Bing, Google, Bing, Google, Bing, Chime listing ads, some from Facebook, Google, Google, Google. New leads coming in, ready for an appointment. All right, now these are some nurtures. So depending, of course, on your ad budget, we're still getting nurtures from other sources. What they would do now is look at these other sources. What are these? Are these direct mail? Is this circle prospecting? Is this Ojo? So then
calls, anything, right?
Yeah, it could be expireds. Because we don't go out there and farm and dial for expireds for them. So when they come in and it's not a paid source, traditionally paid source, they're not so much tracking them. But what is other? Are these referrals? Is it your sphere? Is it from your mailers? Is it from your blog? And you can easily, by searching the person's name, and we blacked it out just to keep their privacy, but you take their name, you put it in your CRM, and you see where they registered. And you're like, okay, well, I'm getting a lot of nurtures with it isn't so bad. You need to be able to build your pipeline. All right. And then these Google Opcity, I really got to figure out what other is for him. I want to micro sort that. All right. And then these qualify. So these are people that took more than 10 times to call before they answered. That's a small percentage with all those being in Google that we got. That's a very, very small percentage, like maybe what, 1 to 5% just eyeballing it on that. And that right there, if you're really going to geek out, and I don't want to lose anyone, but when they're in the qual stage, and you have to know what your qual stage is, but for most people, especially if they're working with us for services, we put them in qual after the 3rd attempt. So we try them 3 times. They don't answer. We put them in qual. They stay in qual for up to 15 attempts, and then they move to archive. So these ones were converted between the 3rd and 15th phone call.
So this is, just to clarify for everybody watching, this is when somebody's got, all these systems dialed in and they're hiring an ISA to deal with all of their leads, to qualify, to nurture, to do all these different things. And then as you reach out to them, these are the different categories that you put them in, depending on the results that you get and how you track all of that.
Yep. And we organize that as soon as someone comes on. We organize that through our coaching and training. So if they were to enroll in the ISA training, implementing the ISA model, the agent training for lead conversion, their one-on-one session with us is to organize their pipeline. And so we get it all dialed in based on best practices, and then also their team culture, because there's variances on what people consider to be a hot, warm, nurture, watch, archive. There's also a lot of differences on what people put in the trash. And I want to show this. This is actually a very small amount, but a lot of leads that you put in the trash, you're still going to convert 1 to 5% of them. And really, with a lot of teams, when we take over their database, we dial the trash, because a lot of agents out there, if they don't answer the first time, second time, they move them to trash. And if we go back up to the quals, look at all those ones that were converted between the 3rd and 5th phone call. Okay. Now these ones are all the warms that were converted. So they're ready within, 3 to 6 months, which is still good for Google. New leads. And then where's the, watch. Here's watch. They have a small amount of watch. I think it's just because his leads are either they're not ready yet, because watch is 6 to 12 months out. And these ones came in 6 to 12 months ago, and we just got everything dialed in. We've been working with them for about 6 months.
All right. So these are the specific terms that you guys have kind of come up with that make sense for you and your system to know where people are in their timeline.
Yep. Absolutely. So the difference between the opt-in data, and I'm going to go over to the expireds, is that if you're tracking your numbers, so let me just go to the dial sessions. This right here, if you look at this line, and I'll make it a different color, this is everything that we track in every dial session. Okay, so we track the list dialed, the total talk time, time on task, total dials. So Chime doesn't track talk time, which is obnoxious, because we want to know like how much are they actually talking to someone during their dial session.
Okay.
So Chime doesn't track that. We track the bad number rate. We track their voicemails, valid conversations, total contacts. We track all of this to gauge the dial sessions, but then you're running, this is just micro. Like we even track the shift right here, right? Mm-hmm. And this is a monthly snapshot. And then we track the running totals. So all the buyers from April to August, 270 appointments. 24 of them were buy sell. Out of 295 appointments, 179 were kept the first time around. Really good. I mean, 60 to 70%, you know, which means our ISAs are passing the appointment off properly.
Right. Not sort of forcing somebody into something that they don't want on the phone.
Exactly. And then we also track if it was missed by the lead, missed by the agent. So they had 6 that were missed by the agent, which is really low, by the way. We've worked with teams that their agents miss 50% of their appointment because of buyer agent fatigue.
Wow.
They are maxed out. They cannot go. They forget about it. They're unorganized. They have too many leads, too many appointments. No, none of them had no update. 2 of them have a reset appointment, and then 54 were lender appointments. So out of all these appointments, 54 were lender appointments. So just taking that data, imagine if you could every single month go to your coach, go to your lead sources, go to your lender and say, we set, let me just use this as an example. We set 295 buyer appointments last month. Our lender was able to take 54 lender appointments. We need another lender. Will you contribute to our ad spend?
I like it.
Without your numbers, it's like it's almost impossible to go to anybody and ask them for help. But then if you're going to a coach and you're like, hey, what can I do? We're buyer heavy. We need more sellers. And a good coach would say, well, you have buyer data coming in. You need to have some seller lead sources.
Right.
But that's the voice of reason. And then they can go, okay, well, where are you setting your appointments? Well, these are the lead sources that we're setting our appointments. All right, cool. Well, I think you can go to, Answer Connect and delete that one, cancel them, cancel Homelight, cancel Op City. Well, Op City, they started to set appointments. So don't cancel Op City, but you get the point.
Right, exactly. I mean, it's hard to make smart decisions without having the right information to base your decisions on.
Yeah. And then, back to the nurtures, what I really wanted to show you was the nurtures by lead source. And if you track this, which is very easy to track just through the jot form, and I think that column just wasn't on there, it didn't get moved over. You sort it by lead source, which ones are giving you leads that are more long-term. Mm-hmm. And then the ones that are, that are giving you appointments that are ready right now. And let's just say that his Bing and Google was flipped. Let's say that he was getting more nurtures and watches and less that were ready right now. He could go to that person that developed those leads and said, hey, where did these ones come in on? Let's double down on those keywords. This one's working. Let's get more of those. But you don't know until you track it. And it's impossible to go back after a month and put all this data in to remember.
Yeah.
Most people don't remember one dial session to the next. I mean, did you remember how many dials you did, last Wednesday?
No, definitely not.
And how many people answered and how many were bad number and,
Yeah, no, you're not going to remember that. You definitely have to keep track of it.
Yeah. And so we keep it pretty easy. We actually have this connected to jot form. And let me stop my screen share and I'll actually go and pull up our jot form. That is just really cool. It's free too, by the way. Well, it's not free for us because we have so many of them, but you get a lot before you have to pay. So let me just go over to.
So what is jot form for everybody out there?
Jot form is like Google Forms to where it's an input form. And here I'm going to show you to where when you input this. All right. So this is a dial session report. All right. Let me just share this real quick. All right. Can you see my screen?
Yes, I can.
Okay. So this is jot form. It's an input form. So you pick the date that you dialed, and I'll share this template with anybody. In fact, I mean, I can make it downloadable on my website too, to where if there's a huge demand for it, they can download this template and then copy it and use it on theirs. Yeah. So you pick the date. All right. So 4/22, you pick the shift. This is important because you would be shocked at when you're getting the highest answer rate. Mm-hmm. If you only dial from 9 to 11 or 8 to 10 in the morning, and you're like, okay, well, let's dial at night, or you task your ISA or your VA to dial at night. Let's dial at the weekend. And the call center laws are, if they didn't request you to call, you can dial from 8 a.m. to 8 p.m. But opt-in data, if they sign up at 3 a.m., technically you could call them at 3 a.m.
I'm not calling anybody at 3 a.m. But
if you wanted someone around the clock, you could. Just make sure they did the form. But I'm sure a text message would be fine too.
Yeah.
So we're going to do morning report. How many appointments did you set for yourself, as a solo agent, or, for your agents? I'm going to do 4. How many of those were lender appointments? I'm going to put 2. How many hot leads did you talk to? For us, hot leads, they want to do something within 90 days, but they're just not ready for an appointment. They need to confer with their spouse. They're going to be out of town for a week, and we don't set appointments unless we can meet with them within 48 hours, 48 to 72 hours.
Okay.
So if they're ready in 4 days, it would be a callback. Okay. That's how we do it. So how many hot leads? Let's say I had one hot lead. How many nurtures? These are people that are ready within 3 to 6 months. So you're having the conversation. How soon would you like to buy? Oh, we're about 6 months away, maybe 4. Okay, great. If we found you the perfect home, would you want to buy sooner? No, we're cleaning up things on our credit, and it's really going to be, 4 to 6 months, 3 to 6 months. Okay, great. So that would be a nurture. How many callbacks did you have? I'll just put 1. How many people did you talk to that already did something? How many people, when you spoke to them on the phone, did they already buy a house? Did they already sell their house? Did they already relist it with another agent?
And that's the painful number right there, especially with the ones that you've just sort of been, they've been in the background. You never really got a hold of them. You kind of, you dropped the ball, and then you get a hold of them down the road, and oh, I already bought. Great.
Yeah. Yeah. And look at this, because we track that. So we go to dial sessions and go to missed opportunities. Let me just change this. Missed opportunities should be H5. I'm just going to put to H300. Oh no, that's the percentage. I'm sorry. I'm going to do this back to H5. 640.
Terrible. That hurts my heart. It's not even mine. These aren't even my leads, and it hurts me.
Yeah. 267%. So our contact ratio, I think that's off. Let me see here. It's supposed to be appointments set. What is she tracking? Some missed opportunities. So H to J. Contact rate to, oh yeah, how many people did we talk to? Oh, I got to change this. That's where it is. Like, that doesn't look right. Okay. All right. So 11%. All right. So out of everyone that we spoke to, how many people purchased and relisted and sold?
Wow.
So this is actually really good. Really good, actually. A lot of times it's a lot higher. We see up to even 50% when we start dialing in the first couple months.
Wow.
Yeah.
Yeah. If you tapped into my system, you'd definitely get that.
Well, and they have really good data. They really pay attention to their answer rate and get that fine tuned. So what I told you before, the team leader of this team is very hands-on and really cares. He wants to have data that answers. He wants to have responsive leads. He wants to work with people that need an agent. Mm-hmm. And, he's just getting into the cold calls. So we're going to see how that works out. But hopefully my system will be good for him. But yeah, 640 people that you could have worked with.
Wow.
That already did something. And that's painful. Yeah. Especially when we first start taking over your database and you're hurting for money. It's no laughing matter, but it happens so many times. I get a lot of criticism in our industry when I say, hey, you really need to hire an ISA before you start hiring a lot of agents. And the reason why is because this.
Oh yeah, for sure.
And we try to train our agents into the role of calling leads and being there and being the first responders and getting the leads and doing the Shark Tank. And real estate agents really just don't have, they aren't made to do what ISAs are made to do. And it's not even really their fault most of the time, because they wear 10 different hats a day. It's hard to circle back. Absolutely. And do the job right. And it actually causes a lot of stress, especially if they want to do their job right.
Exactly. So as we talk about that, paint a picture for someone listening who's maybe been in the business for a little while. They're doing a decent number of deals. They're just a solo agent. They're ready to take their business to the next level. Maybe they've got an admin. Okay. They want to bring in an ISA. So what does that look like?
Yeah, well, the first thing that you need to have is your CRM and data sources. or at least something for them to dial. So you want to have Vulcan 7, or you want to have a Mojo dialer, you want to have a data source for them to call.
Mm-hmm.
And I really feel like one of the biggest mistakes that we make as team owners or real estate business owners is that we try to take on training them ourselves. And although you taking your first week to expose them how you do it is really great for them to see an expectation, get to know you, learn how you take appointments, learn what's important to you, but then get them with an ISA coach. And I know there's not too many of them. We did just roll out our ISA coaching program to where they meet with us 2 days a week and then one-on-ones on Friday. But even after a month, we'll be able to show them how to work your CRM, your lead sources, and then they can take the other couple days a week to practice what they learned. And you're freed up to work appointments and do what you need to do for money-making activities. And then you're not the manager, of that role, which although you can show them some basics, it's really not your level of genius.
And once that system is running, that's the ISA's job, is to book you the appointments.
Yes. So they almost need you to be out in the field. They almost need to learn how to contact you, and you're not just readily available, and to be a problem solver, And I mean, I go through this with my implementing the ISA model. We use a software program called Time Doctor. And what that does is hold them accountable to their time on task. And so it's holding your employee or, your ISA or VA, it's all computer based. And so anyone that's worried about them working when they're gone, or taking advantage, or not having efficient time on task, or being on YouTube while they're dialing, and it's not relevant.
Right.
For another session, if you want to, I can show you Time Doctor, and you can actually see everything that they open.
Interesting.
On there. And so it tracks their time. But yeah, this is the jot form. And the reason why this is so important is that you have presets in here, and that's what the totals work off of. So if there's any typos whatsoever, it won't compute properly. And then action items, I'm just going to put a test, your list dialed. You design this, we design it for our clients. Specifically, I'm just going to put test, ISA, I'll just choose Ace. He's a cool guy. He actually worked he was a bank manager before he came to me.
Oh, really?
So, yep. So then it says, thank you. We've received your submission. Well, that input goes on to here. And so we have one jot form for each tab. And you just fill it out. So each
makes it easier. This can look very intimidating, but that jot form really simplifies it.
Yeah, this is to somebody that doesn't know what they're looking at. They're like, what am I looking at?
Exactly.
And Jotform will even create the spreadsheet for you. So when you subscribe to Jotform and you go to integrations, you'll say Google Sheet, you'll name your Google Sheet, and it'll create this for you.
Oh, wow.
You don't have to, the only thing that you have to create is this running totals. And I suggest customizing it, make it look pretty how you want it to look. For me, I'd have graphs and pie charts and maybe some glitter that pops out. No, just kidding. But you can make this look branded to your team. This is what makes sense to, these team owners, and I'm sure they could deck it out how they want to, but personalize it. So it doesn't look so boring unless you like it. But yeah, the metrics here are really important. And I give everybody a copy of this in the implementing an ISA model and ISA training, and then they could just take this and make it theirs.
Excellent. So would you suggest for the solo agents that are wearing all the hats to start implementing this system right away for themselves, and then make that an easier transition to when they bring on the ISA?
I believe so. That way, your numbers, you can say, hey, well, I noticed that you dialed for 4 hours and you only had, 10 people answer the phone. But when I dial for 4 hours, I have 30 people that answer the phone, and we're dialing the same list. And so, then you can troubleshoot it of, that expectation. But if you don't know that, if you get their report and you're like, that's odd, you talked to 20 people and didn't set one appointment. And if I talk to 20 people, I can set 2 appointments. Maybe I need to talk to your coach about training.
Right.
Or maybe I need to look at Time Doctor and see if they were goofing off, But if you don't know that, there are so many ISAs out there that they'll dial and they'll have training issues, accountability issues. Nobody's watching them. They're doing what they want. Not, and it's usually not the VAs, it's usually the in-house, ISAs that think that calling 30 people in 4 hours is good. And their team leaders don't have anything to go off of. So you have this ISA for 6 months, a year, a couple of years, and you have no idea how to hold them accountable. And you have no idea what you're looking at, even if they do. So
Right.
to go back to your question, if you're tracking your numbers and you know what you're capable of, it's also a way to reward them when they do it better than you,
Right.
because they will. And that's what you want.
Oh yeah, definitely.
Yeah, that's what's going to relax you. When they dial, 4 hours and get 30 people to answer the phone, and they set 5 appointments and you normally set 2, just to give an example, not to say that's what you should expect, but you're like, wow, good job, or maybe we should get more of that data. But if you don't know your numbers, I think it's impossible or even unfair.
Right, right, exactly. Now, you have mentioned Chime as the CRM that they were using, this particular
Mhm.
team. Everyone always asks, "What's the best CRM? What's the best CRM?" And really, the best CRM is just the one that you're going to use consistently, and that's simple, not too complicated. That you'll just use it, you'll get the data that you need. But for
Agreed.
for those people that want that question answered, what has been your experience with CRMs? What do you like about certain ones?
Yeah, great question. So if we stick with the Chime CRM, I really like that you can use programs like Hatch, and you can tailor it to fit it can be a really great AI and automation. You can build out customized smart plans. And I do have coaching for agents and ISAs that's CRM specific, with smart flow and filter specific, that we're launching come May and June. But each CRM has its own limitations.
Right.
Right. So like Sierra Interactive, fantastic. I love it. It's a completely different take on real estate. They don't integrate with anything, and it drives me insane.
Yeah, that's
they,
unfortunate.
they don't allow you to import your own caller ID. Like if you have Chime or Boomtown, Mojo, Follow Up Boss, you can choose a caller ID. You can
Right.
change your caller ID very easily. And programs like Sierra Interactive, it's very rigid on just changing your caller ID. That's important, because when you're flagged as spam, people aren't going to call you or answer your phone. Yeah.
Right. Exactly.
Um, I love Commissions Inc. I've actually been a huge fan of Commissions Inc. for a good 5 years. Their pay-per-click is solid, and their CRM, how it integrates with Mojo, it's a two-way integration. It's very efficient. And I really like how they have built in safety systems for realtors. So for example, if you upload into their CRM and their sync CRM a list of just GeoFarm leads, they won't let you use their dialer. You have to use the Mojo dialer, because they're keeping you from dialing a do not call number or a phone number that's not verified.
I see.
And for anyone that is a little bit nervous about calling somebody that doesn't want to be called, or running into the do not call list,
Right.
lawsuits, um, it's great. It's a great safety feature. And the way that you get around that is you dial through Mojo, and when you have a great conversation with them, you email them your landing page from Sync and have them register. And you say, here, I'm going to email you my website, register there. That way I can send you properties. And then they come in through your CRM.
There you go. Yeah, I have some experience with Sync. What about simpler CRMs like Wise Agent? And I'm not putting them down for being simpler, but I think it's very clean, easy, simple to sort of put your stuff and people in there. It may not be as tooled up as all the other ones, though.
Yeah, you know what? A lot of times simpler is better. I really like Follow Up Boss. I really like KV Core. I've used Wise Agent. I think it's a great CRM, especially I believe they still integrate with Mojo. And any CRM that has a direct two-way integration with a Mojo dialer, to me, is a good CRM, because
That's the
I
big point
just,
for you.
that's a huge, like Follow Up Boss. I dislike how they don't have built-in IDX. You have to go to a third-party company.
Right.
But I love how you can program their groups and stages into Mojo, and you can dial it right from there, and it's live.
Hmm.
I mean, if I transfer a lead into one of their groups, it'll show up in that CRM like that. It is a direct live integration. And
That's
I
nice.
really like that. But if you can't easily use Mojo with your CRM, and I'm not paid to say this, I've been a huge fan of Mojo for a good 7-8 years. And the owner of that company is best friends with Vulcan 7. They actually go golfing together.
Oh,
Ren
really?
And so they're like, if Vulcan 7 and Mojo would just create a company together, and then follow up boss with IDX would just marry them, or Commission Inc., because Commission Inc. is great. It has IDX. To me, like that would be the perfect setup.
Right.
Commission Inc., Vulcan 7, Mojo Dialer, just this love triangle of awesomeness.
See, everybody watching this that has watched any of my other videos knows that, I just started using Mojo consistently this year. I have my frustrations with Mojo, but I also really, I think it's a great tool as well. So in terms of what's out there, it's the best of the bunch that I've seen so far.
Yeah, they even like their emails, as long as you're not sending 100 emails an hour, it won't, the servers won't get bogged down. But you can email people as you go. It doesn't have texting, but the triple line dialer, the built-in caller IDs, the pre-programmable voicemails, the ease of use, and the way that you can microsort data like a solo agent that doesn't have lead funnels. If they just had Vulcan 7 and Mojo, they wouldn't need anything else.
Yeah.
Maybe a texting program. Okay, KV Core. Put KV Core in there.
Yeah, oh, definitely.
That comes with our brokerage.
Right.
I like the triple line dialer for bulk data.
Yeah, exactly. I actually today, well, this isn't going to be the same day that this is published, but today I published, when and why to use the single line versus triple line dialer. And yeah, exactly that. When you're doing like circle geofarming kind of dialing, just bust through those with the triple line. You can get through it so much faster. But if you're calling your database, you're not going to use a triple line dialer. You're going to use a single line dialer.
Absolutely. Yep, absolutely. And that's where if you have high quality opt-in leads and you're calling your sphere, you may not even need something as robust as Mojo. It's efficient because you're single line dialing, and I like how organized it keeps you. But you could use the dialer built into your CRM.
Yes. The thing that I like about Mojo, and it works for your CRM too, as long as you're using a dialer rather than hand dialing, is that sometimes if you think about it, you'll be like, I don't really want to talk to this person, or I don't know. And you start picking and choosing who to talk to. No. Just put them all in there. You got to talk to all of them. Just automatic. Set it to auto and you'll talk to whoever connects.
That's so true when they pick and choose and it's funny, like when you actually see them pick and choose and then they say the reason why they don't want to call that person.
Yeah.
You have it in the dialer and you just go, it's ringing before you even have a chance to stop. And I mean, what if that's the person that answers and you set an appointment and, they become a client that closes? I mean, if you have the phone number, go ahead and call it. And that's almost like that accountability piece where you have to call it. You can't just hand dial and choose.
Yeah. I think any way you can automate things like that and just take it off of your brain and just make it automatic, it serves you best.
Yep. I did just talk to a team owner. They have a small team and they were asking me the same question about CRMs. One of the reasons why I like our main 6 CRMs is the support. If you have a problem, or if there's a glitch, or if something's lost, they usually have really good support. And I'm not saying that programs like Lion's Desk and Wise Agent and Smart CRM and some of the smaller ones don't have good support, but you really just want to make sure that obviously it fits your budget. And if you get a CRM from your brokerage and it's not owned by the brokerage, I would use it.
Yes,
just
that's the key. Wait. Mention that again. And why do you say that?
If you have a CRM offered to you by your brokerage and it's not owned by the brokerage, I would use that one. And the reason why you don't want to go with a CRM that's owned by the brokerage is because they own your data. They have full access to your data. And even when they say, oh, we would never steal your data, we would never do that, it's imprinted on the back of the hard drive and you can't get it out. Anything that you put in there, even if you export and delete, there's a footprint of the data and they save it and they farm it. And so even if you leave, they have all your data.
Right.
And they use it for advertising. And I don't know if people realize this with some of the other big brokerages out there, the way that when they have like a phone call day where you sign up and you're the agent that gets the appointments and you get all the calls in for the brokerage.
Right.
If they're farming that and they're getting internet leads and they're farming everybody's database in your brokerage, and then the new person that signs up to take those phone calls and gets it, they don't ask if you down the hall have this lead in your database. They just give it to that person.
Right.
And one of the ways that they get out of having to pay for, lead sources is that you're already buying the leads and they're getting them to farm them. You don't think they're retargeting them or redirecting them or sending them mailers for just the brokerage? It's not on behalf of you.
Right, right. So obviously, the simplest and easiest thing to do is use your own CRM, or if the brokerage offers a third-party CRM, then go with that. But if it's built into that particular brokerage, like you said, I've personally never experienced it, but I know people that have,
Oh,
and
yeah.
it's a nasty thing. So
Yeah, it is. And a lot of times if you do the right thing and give notice, or not that that's the right thing with a brokerage because you're self-employed, but there's people that do more for their brokerage than just be a real estate agent. And they feel inclined to give their broker notice.
yeah,
And then they're locked out of their CRM. They can lock you out of your own CRM if it's owned by them.
listen, I understand that, because I'm a very loyal person.
Yeah.
I'm a high D, and an I, and I get into relationships easily, and I trust people, and that's the thing. So I understand loyalties, and for people that maybe have been in the business only for a few years and only with one brokerage, then they may not relate. But know that you may not be with that brokerage forever. Whatever brokerage that is under the sun, there's a possibility in your career that you may go to another brokerage. So
Yep.
with that in mind, keep your data safe and separate. I think
That's your
that pretty much
business.
is it.
Yep. It's your book of business. I wouldn't share it with anyone.
Yeah.
But yeah, the CRM world, every CRM is going to say that, they're the best one. There are some that it's just too much. If you're a solo agent, you don't need Boomtown. If
Right.
you have a small team, I would say you don't need Boomtown. There's just CRMs out there that it's too much to do.
Yep, absolutely. And they range in price from this to that and everything else. So try a few. There's always a free trial, almost always a free trial
Oh
or a
yeah.
demo.
Oh
So
yeah.
give it a shot and talk to some people. So that's the CRM conversation. But bottom line is CRMs are useless without the data. So you've got to make sure that you're inputting your data, you're tracking your numbers. That's what this was all about. Now let's go back to you. Last time we spoke, you said that you have a lovely discount code or something for people
Yeah. Yep.
interested. So why don't you tell people how to get a hold of you if they're interested in this whole ISA setup and they don't know what to do, they can rely on you. So give it to everyone.
Sure. Yeah, absolutely. So anybody that's interested in enrolling in any of the events or training, anything, all the training that we offer is around lead conversion, understanding the ISA model, how to successfully hire and train your ISA, and then the direct training for your agents, ISAs, or virtual assistants. We do offer some basic agent training as well if you want some specific training on geo farming, open houses, understanding the disc. This is not theory. We're getting out our workbook and we are learning this. Okay. You can use the code Future Legends and it's going to give you 50% off on any of our stuff on the website. And as long as that code's working, you can use that as many times as you want to.
And what's the website that they need to go to?
Is if you want to pay with, yeah, thank you. If you want to pay with PayPal, or a credit card, you can go to isauniversityonline.com. If you'd like to buy with cryptocurrency, it's isauniversity.store. And then you can use your crypto wallet to purchase as well.
I've got some pocket lint. Maybe we can work out a deal and
Yeah.
it's gold lined. No. No, but it's interesting in the world that we live in now, right? We're talking about crypto and all these different currencies and different ways to pay, right? So very interesting.
I have my Visa crypto card and I do a lot of classes on crypto and tokenization. I'm actually part owner of a tokenization company. So as the FCC starts deciding on where they want things to go, we're going to really roll out some really cool stuff on tokenizing real estate and being able to transact buying real estate with crypto, putting your down payment with crypto or your earnest money. Lots of cool stuff for the real estate industry. We're just trying to get it to where nobody's going to get in trouble.
Yeah, that's kind of important.
Yeah. And if any company out there, if you ask them, are you worried about compliance? And they say no, don't even engage. And I do have links on my website to learn more about crypto as well. That's free for them to go and check out. If they want to pay for education and training, it's like $100-$200 a month, depending on what they want. And they can enroll in that. It's not specifically with me, but it's with a company that I'm enrolled with that keeps me up to date and gets everybody trained up.
Cool. So I mean that's completely separate from what we talked about, but a cool little caveat at the end there. Alita, thank you so much. Guys, remember, like, share, and subscribe. All of your support really does help. I appreciate it. Check it out. We got videos 3 times a week. See you on the next one.